border funding battle continues. The Trump administration sending nearly 4,000 additional troops to the southern border. This coming as another migrant caravan is headed toward the United States as we speak. On Sunday Morning Futures yesterday, I spoke with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to discuss how to tackle this issue of border security. Where are we in these talks over border security up against this February 15th deadline?
It is tough to negotiate and get an agreement with people who are more focused on stopping the president than they are on helping the country. It doesn't take a genius to figure out, what are we on now, the fifth caravan forming, going to be here any day now in Texas? So it doesn't take anyone with common sense can see we need a border security wall. We need to secure our border. We need to reform our asylum laws if we're going to address the problem.
I think the debate really should focus on is what the professionals say about where technology is best utilized, where border fencing should be utilized, where concrete barriers may make the most sense. I believe the best path for us to take would be to have a comprehensive approach to this that deals with the border security issues around which we may have some disagreement, but also deals with larger immigration issues that we know sooner or later in this country we're going to have to get around to solving.
Joining us right now is Washington Examiner editorial director Hugo Gurdon. Hugo, it's good to see you this morning. And, you know, when I speak with different peoples on this issue, it feels like there is common ground, that everybody agrees you don't necessarily need a wall sea to sea. But then again, there are areas that are quite dense that could use some kind of a physical barrier. Can they come together with an agreement, even though Nancy Pelosi and President Trump are at each other and are digging in?
I think they're going to have to, Maria. You know, you're right that there is common ground. I think that they've got stuck on the fact that people talk about the wall as though there is just one thing that is needed. The truth is what we need is more wall. There are plenty of places where there is wall, but it needs to be completed. It needs to be actually a barrier. There are some parts which are mountainous which clearly don't need a barrier. You know, both sides want the government to get going, but we've had months now of the Democrats simply saying they are not going to give President Trump the opportunity to claim that he kept his promise to build a wall. And I think that they're going to have to come back, and what's going to happen is we'll get something which the Democrats can say isn't a wall, it's a fence, it's security of some sort, which they have always wanted, and President Trump will say he got what he wanted, he got the barrier, he got some kind of security at the border. People
don't want to see this politics and this fight, Lee. I mean, we all know, and one thing I've been saying now for weeks is that there is a wall in Nancy Pelosi's state. The wall that separates Tijuana from San Diego. And so how is that not immoral if everything other walls that she's talking about are so immoral?
I find it fascinating that when you change in polling, the question is, say, are you in favor of a wall, or are you in favor of stronger border security, or are you in favor of fence? If you're in favor of a fence or stronger security or a physical barrier, anything besides a wall, support goes up by like 10 to 20 points, depending how you phrase it. The bottom line is when you ask people if we need stronger border security, they say yes.
They want it.
It's the wall, and that is symbolic with Trump right now. So if you take the wall out of the equation, call it something else, you're probably going to get more support.
Oh, come on.
Hugo, last week, Nancy Pelosi was talking about Normandy fencing. Don't forget that. So she brought up she did not rule out certain other physical barriers. The Normandy fencing has crisscross posts. So is there an opening here?
Yeah, look, I think there is, and it's just the phrasing is the thing that's getting in the way. You know, one of the things that I think people should remember is that if people have become kind of inured to the idea of people crossing the border illegally. If it were hundreds or sometimes thousands of people approaching the northern border or on ships approaching the coast, everyone would be absolutely startled. They'd be treating this as an extraordinary thing. But because there are so many illegal immigrants coming in on the southern border, everyone just says, oh, it's what happens every day. There's no emergency.
Right.
The truth is there is a crisis at the southern border because hundreds and sometimes thousands of people are crossing into the United States illegally. This doesn't happen anywhere else on any of our other borders.
Interesting. Let's talk about the State of the Union for a moment. Coming up tomorrow night, we've got sources within the administration telling us what's going to be the focus here. 5 areas the president will touch on in tomorrow night's State of the Union. Number 1, a safe and legal immigration system. Number 2, protecting American workers on trade deals, including China and NAFTA. Number 3, rebuilding America with respect to infrastructure. Number 4, lowering costs for health care and prescription drugs. And number 5, protecting national security, including the potential wall. So this debate on the State of the Union around immigration, Hugo, the Journal is reporting that guests that will be invited to the Capitol to hear the president's address will reflect the partisan immigration divide. Republicans reportedly planning to invite law enforcement. Democrats will invite undocumented immigrants who worked at golf clubs owned by President Trump. I just feel like it's all politics all the time instead of getting the work done that the American people want.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Look, illegal immigrants come in, and no doubt there have been some that have, worked at President Trump's properties. It's a way of embarrassing the president. It doesn't really get anything done. But I think there's be a lot more sympathy for border security, for the police, for ICE, for the Border Patrol. Those people are doing jobs which are legitimate jobs.
Yeah.
The country understands that there is a need for that. Every time any one of us goes through an airport, we go through immigration. Everybody knows that there should be border security. And I think that having people in the audience who do that kind of work and who are advising the administration about what they need are going to be much more sympathetic people to the mass audience than some illegal immigrants.
I've said this privately. I'll say it publicly now. This literally comes down to Nancy Pelosi at all costs trying to avoid President Trump saying on the campaign trail when he's running for re-election, you know what? Mexico didn't pay for the wall. Nancy Pelosi wrote the check. That's what she's trying to avoid, and that is it. That's as simple as it goes, because she has to know, being from California, that walls work, as you've pointed out time and again.
Yeah, Mitch.
Well, I'm going to be in San Diego tomorrow. I may visit.
Well, look, there's 1.5 million people on one side of the wall in San Diego, another 1.5 million on the other side in Tijuana. And if you tear down that wall, you have to believe that the people in Tijuana assimilate themselves. The wall has worked. And in a dense place like that, where you've got so many people right around the wall, you would expect that a wall would work.
Yeah, but this seems like an amazing moment in American history to resolve comprehensive immigration reform almost once and for all.
And I think that people understand that. They see right through this all politics.
I think that the president was on the right path, though, when he started talking about what we need here. It was also the wall, and it was humanitarian aid. Because I think one of the things the Republicans are taking a lot of heat for is saying that we're not treating people like humans. And I think that the truth of the matter is the policies we're looking for as Republicans are not to say, let's treat these people terribly. It's to say, let's bring them in legally. Let's get them in the right way. Let's get a process in place.
To do it. That's right.
And I think that's what the Republicans need to focus on.
I wonder if all the Dem women will wear white. That's another thing that the leadership is asking their people to do. All right, thank you, Hugo. Great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for weighing in here.
Thanks, Maria.